Hello friends, one more week I'm happy to be with you. I am Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and you know that I try to broadcast a message every week and discuss different areas of health maintenance and how to be healthy and how to take care of this body of ours and how not to have to be in a hospital or be treated for an illness, but use medical resources to stay younger, healthier, and more active, more years. That's what we should be using medicine for. I mean, stop taking medication and just be healthier. And who's the better advisor than your own doctor? So that's what I try to encourage people to do. That's what my message is all about you and all those functions that I want them to continue for years and years to come. Again, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and this message is broadcasted every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we run the program again every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is through Truth Be Told Radio Network. You can Spotify and search for Truth Be Told Radio Network, and there you will find me. You will find not only this broadcast, but over 100 programs like this. They come in segments, and all you have to do is choose which one you like, listen to them when you're on your car, when you're driving, when you're commuting, and hopefully be inspired to make changes in your life. And whatever you like, well, if you Spotify us, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to share the message with somebody else without having to do too much explanation. You can share it and say, why don't you listen to this? I think it's important. Or you are my good friend, I know the health issues you are facing, and I think this message could be good for you. You can go to the social media of your choice and contact me directly, Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. And I'm going to be very happy to listen to your questions, to listen to your comments, and try to get back to you normally within 24 hours and answer any question that I have. Because I love people who are proactively searching for better health. Remember that I represent what we call the BioCare Hospital, the BioCare Center for Wellness. And by BioCare, we mean exactly what the word means. And the word means being proactive, being watchful, making things, doing things so our health and everything continues to be in good shape. Make sure that our well-being is maintained and preserved. Make sure that we eat what we should eat, that we live the way we should eat, because we have a wonderful high-performance machine in us. But like any other huge, fantastic machine, it needs care. It needs lubricants. It needs quality fuel. It needs hours for repair. It needs just care. But in the case of your body, we call it BioCare. And today, I'm going to continue talking about something that connects to other of the broadcasts and has to do with the time of the day. You see, we tend to live, ever since electricity came about, we immediately thought that we had been provided a way to live the way we want anytime we want. And then we started eating later and later at night. I frequently ask, when is the last time you had a 5 o'clock dinner? Not even 6. Actually, I sometimes have fun going to places now that you can do it on the phone, and you look for busier times of popular places to eat. It's always empty at 5. You can get a very good table at 6. But try to do it from 7:30 to 9. Impossible. It's full. 9 o'clock, you should be getting ready to go to bed. That's okay. You can have a fun weekend. You can do it on a Friday night, something like that. We all can afford it. We all have the energy, the stamina to do that. But you cannot do it day in and day out. And if you look at the facts that I'm telling you about, you can look for those places on a Tuesday, on a Thursday. It's not necessarily on a Friday night. And you know that at home we tend to do the same thing. We tend to eat later and later each time simply because we have electricity. Not because our bodies demand it. You know, it doesn't take too much to imagine that we have evolved as creatures that function along daylight. We function very well under daylight, and we're supposed to go to sleep when it gets dark. It doesn't take too much to think that this has been true for thousands of years. We had to get up early as soon as the sun rises, because that's the good time to do things. If you want to put seeds, if you want to get a crop, if you want to take care of your animals, if you want to milk your cattle, you have to do it under daylight time, because there was no other way. Besides, at night you were sleeping and resting and repairing. And your animals were doing the same thing. So as soon as the sun rises, it's time to get up, let's time to get moving and so forth. And if you were in America 100 years ago or 150 years ago, that would be the rule. And as soon as it gets dark, our bodies needed to do something else. But it's not because we want to go to sleep, not just because we are sleepy, not just because we have worked very hard during the day, so I need a break. No, it's a lot more complicated. And that's actually one of the areas of medicine that I love, because to me it exemplifies the wisdom of our Creator. When we were created in a world with day and night. And through millennia, our bodies had evolved and adapted to that situation. So daylight was meant to work, to eat, to function, to do things, to do anything that we want, to plan, to be awake. But as it get dark, then we needed to do something else. And all that work during daylight, all that effort, all that energy that we have spent, all that we have created, I mean, taking care of our cattle, taking care of our homes, building our houses, building our barns, etc. All that work needed for this body of ours to rest, to repair. You see, that's something that we never take into consideration. When you lay down, when you go to sleep, you're not only resting, you are repairing. You are restoring. You are resetting just about every metabolic function in the body. It is so important that we do this, that you might not know it, might be the first time you hear this, but our intestinal flora, the bacteria in our gut, goes to bed too. When we sleep, the metabolic activity of the intestinal flora diminishes. It's time to rest. And once again, I'm not saying that you rest because, I need a break. No. You are going to go through a fantastic metabolic transformation that will happen in the hours that you sleep. And if you don't respect that fact, if you go to party, if you drink, if you overeat at night and do this, you are distorting all this process. And you will not be able to heal, to restore, to replenish, to create new cells, to be a new you the following morning. That's why we all have felt it. You had a very light dinner, you had a very peaceful, blessed night, then you go to bed because your eyes naturally close, and when you get up in the morning, everything is bright and beautiful because you actually have renewed yourself. It's not wasted time. I have heard many people that say, "Oh, I hate to go to sleep because it's wasted time. Those hours I could be doing something. Yet I'm just laying down, eyes closed, unaware of my surrounding for hours." That's a completely waste of time. I don't know, why do I have to go to sleep? Well, because if you don't do it, nothing of the beautiful, fantastic things your body can do will happen. And you know, for example, that in Nazi Germany, they used to experiment in what happens with people when they don't sleep and rest. And you know what happens? You die. But of course, you're not in Nazi Germany, you're not under that stress. However, you're damaging your health. Stay with me. I want to keep on this fascinating subject to me. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and this time I'm talking about the rhythm our bodies follow during daylight and nighttime. It sounds so simple, so unimportant, so everyday thing that apparently at first glance you say, why is the doctor going to use some time to explain me day and night? Of course, during the day I do my thing and work and go to school, etc. And at night I just rest and stay home. I don't see where, number one, I don't see where this becomes so important that the doctor has to talk about it. And on the other hand, I don't see the implications. Because Dr. Rodriguez always talks about health and well-being and how to be healthy and function well for years to come. What does that have to do with me being awake during the day and going to sleep at night? Well, the reason I want to talk about it is because we are, like many other things, we're beginning to distort all these things. Because we have electricity. And with electricity, we don't have to worry. Used to be that at night you had to go to bed because you had to go to bed. You would have to be very wealthy if you wanted to have light during nighttime, because you need candles, and you don't need one or two candles. I once read how much money they spent to keep the Palace of Versailles lit during the important parties or festivities, and it was a fortune. So the king could do it, nobody else could afford it. So what you do when everything is dark, you go to bed. You go to rest. And because of this thing happening through years and years and years, and I wouldn't even use the word years, I should say through millennia, well, that created the condition for our body to adapt, to evolve in such a way that we could know when it was daytime and when it was nighttime. And let me tell you something, and it marvels me every time I talk about this, because it gives me the real dimension of the wisdom of our Creator. Well, as you know, we have eyes. Our eyes are designed to catch up light. And light gets into the retina. And that light into the retina is like the light on the film of a camera. And that information is sent backwards because the cortex, the cerebral cortex that can actually see, the eye is just a camera but doesn't get the image, it is in the back of our head, in the occipital area, all the way in the back. But on the way to that area, it goes through small centers that can produce a hormone that you probably have heard of, which is called melatonin. Well, melatonin then has a direct relationship with daylight. Every time we have a beautiful morning and sunlight hits our eyes, melatonin will gradually disappear from our body. We're not sleepy, we're feeling good, we're functioning well, we can go to school, we can go to work, we can do our labor, we can clean the house, we can do everything we want. We have a beautiful, fantastic day. Nothing unusual. But then as it darkens, as light starts to dim in nature, then these tiny little organs start producing melatonin. And melatonin will gradually increase in the blood. As it goes up in the blood, it will start to induce sleepiness. I mean, you're doing your things, you're talking to your family in the evening, you're having a cup of tea, you are talking to friends, you're on the phone, you name it. The fact is that there is a point in time at night when you feel your eyes closing, when you start yawning, when you start having all these feelings like, I think I'm going to bed. And that's exactly what you have to do. You have to listen to your body. When your body tells you it needs to go to sleep, that's exactly what you have to do. Don't have a cup of coffee. Don't go out. Don't do things that are going to block all this. In today's environment, we do a lot of crazy things. What do? We turn on the light. And the light blocks melatonin immediately. You see? And we get on the phone, we get on the tablet, that blocks melatonin. Well, many people in the medical world don't know it, but people in marketing, electronics know it. So they tell you, use the night mode for your cell phone because it will not have white light that blocks melatonin. Whoever is making your cell phone is trying to keep those functions well and alive. So you don't have to do your phone at night. And if you do, make sure the screen mode is on daylight avoidance. It has every new phone has that possibility. So you do that, now you can answer the phone without too much light. Dim the intensity of the light. Okay, so because you want to block that blue light from your phone. Because the minute you have blue light in your eyes, immediately the levels of melatonin will go down. Why is it so important? Let's say I'm sleepy, I answer the phone, I do these things, I'm not phone. It doesn't matter if I go to bed at 9 or if I go to bed at 11. Yes, it does matter. You see, we are being more and more disrespectful of natural functions. We're not obedient anymore. We want our cake and eat it too. We want to have all the time to work at daylight and then all the night to party. Because after all, I have a light bulb. I have a computer, I have a screen, I have a TV. Now, why the phone is so bad? Well, because the phone is inches from your eyes, whereas the TV is several feet away from you. So the concentration of blue light that you get on the phone is huge in comparison to your TV. If you had a light meter, you'd see that a phone this far is a lot worse than a TV 6-8 feet away. So be careful, be respectful. You have to take care of that melatonin. That melatonin is a gift of God. It's one of the wonderful things that the millennia of evolution between us and the changes of light and temperature and everything that happen every 24 hours can do to keep us not in good shape, in fantastic shape. Because nothing replaces a good night's sleep. And you don't need one. Or let's say, yes, I need a good night's sleep every night. You might have a festivity on your anniversary. You might have something to do on a wedding. Well, that's an exception. And give your body the chance to repair. Because melatonin is a miracle substance that appears once again as the light, the natural light dims. As it starts going down, the light that goes from our eyes to our brain cortex will have a little bypass to this little organ and tell it what is the light level around us. And with that indication, the body knows, okay, I think it's getting time to sleep. So I'm going to start releasing melatonin in the blood, which happens about depends, let's say, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. It varies person to person, but then is when you start feeling the need to sleep. Your eyes close, your body relaxes, your level of attention is diminished. People ask you things, you don't know what it is. Many people continue to have a conversation and next morning you say, what about this thing we discussed? They say, I don't remember. Because their bodies were already shutting down. So let that happen. Welcome that feeling. Open your blankets. Get your pajamas. Relax. Take a deep breath. Just thank God for a wonderful day. And hope for a better one tomorrow because I'm being obedient to all these signals. I'll continue with you. Just a minute. My dear friends, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I'm coming to you through the courtesy of Truth Be Told Radio Network. You know, these people are trying to convey a message of truth, of reality, and I would encourage you to listen to their programming and videos and reunions. They have a lot to offer. So if you can go to Spotify, all you have to do is search for Truth Be Told Radio Network. And you will find us. You will find us there. You can look for Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. And you're going to see over 100 hours of programs that we have produced for you. Hoping to guide you and inspire you to make changes in your life, to understand better the body you have, and to become proactive, to become a promoter of your health, to be caring and being watchful and working toward being healthier and taking the helm when it comes to your health maintenance and promotion. You have to be at the helm, not the doctor. The doctor is going to be your advisor, is going to be your support. But if you don't take things into your own hands, very little will happen. We tend to think that we can do whatever we want and live our lives, and I don't care about everything you're talking about, because after all, if I get sick, I will go to the doctor, he'll write a prescription, and everything will be solved. Believe me, I'm the first one that would love that to be true, but it is not. It is not. When you develop a chronic degenerative disease, which is the type of diseases that we get because of things we do against our own bodies, the answers are not very easy. You go to the doctor and the doctor is going to tell you have to take this medication for the rest of your life. Because I cannot cure you. And to me it's very logic. How am I going to able to cure a disease that you are producing, that you are promoting, and that you're not helping me to get over with? My prescription might be very good, but it can only do so much. I need your help. I need your support. Let me give you one of the simplest examples. I get an infection in the throat, and I go to the doctor, and the doctor gives me an antibiotic, and everything clears. Was that something fantastic? Yes, it was. But on the other hand, you have to think that my own immune system intervened and helped the drug. If I didn't have a strong immune system, I might continue to be sick, not only continue to be sick, but things would worsen every day. And we see it in today's conditions. We see people that have very low immunity, and any little infection becomes a tragedy. So we cannot let that happen. We have to keep our bodies healthy and functional. And the only way to do it is to be at the helm, to be part of it, to make sure we take our bodies the same way I would take a fantastic car and be able to polish it and wax it and clean it and take it to the best garage and make sure oil is fine, the pressure in the tires, etc. And then it's going to last. You see, we see on TV very frequently cars that were made almost 100 years ago that look fantastic, beautiful. And you're going to see on the road many times 2-3-year-old cars that are a piece of junk. It's the same thing that happens to us. And today I'm talking about something that's very important to keep that health, which is the circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is all the functions in the body that move around, and I can tell you right now, there's not one that doesn't work in this fashion around the clock, around the light, around daylight or darkness at night. All these are very important. And we're talking about how the body evolved through millennia to adapt itself to time of the day. Not only we follow the time of the day, but that pattern will actually go with us when we change time zones. Good example. You live in New York and you visit your friends in California. That's a 3-hour difference. Might not sound like too much, but you get from New York to California and the next morning, the first thing you see is open your eyes, you feel good, you had a good night's sleep, look at the clock, and it is 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. You say, my God, why did I get up so early? Because your body is still on New York time. Much worse if you go to Paris or if you go to Tokyo. If you go to Tokyo, you're going to be wide awake at 1 o'clock in the morning. In Japan, they have tours for recently arrived tourists the first night to go to the fish market or anything like that, because people are going to be wide awake at 12 midnight or at 1 o'clock. Of course, as time goes, that information, that lacked information, going through the eyes into the centers that produce melatonin will gradually change to the time zone where you are. So you're going to see that the following day is going to be less and less and less, and about a week after you arrive, you don't notice the difference. You're going to go by local times. You're going to be able to go to sleep at night. You're going to be getting at a reasonable time in the morning. And why is this? This is because, again, the production of melatonin. Now, when melatonin is produced at just about the same time every day, it produces a lot of functions. A lot of functions. It is health promoting. It is healing. It's restorative. It can help you to create conditions that are going to repair, that are going to replenish, that are going to reset. Very important functions. Hormones, for one. Hormones are terribly dependent on the levels of melatonin and your good night's sleep. You know, one of the hormones that we use for stamina and functioning well are steroids. If you don't have a good night's sleep, you're not going to be able to produce good amount or good quality of steroids. That's why when you go through night without a good sleep, you don't feel strong next day. You don't feel good next day. People can tell. People will tell you, oh, did you have a bad night? You see, I don't have to be a doctor to tell you that. It seems you didn't have a good night's sleep. No, because of this or because of whatever. And many times we're the cause of that lack of sleep because we blocked our melatonin, because we destroyed our melatonin, because we were on the phone, because we were on the tablet, because we were in all these gadgets that are ruining through blue light the production of melatonin. Or simply because people tell you, patients tell me all the time, oh, I was very sleepy at certain time, but then I started watching a movie. Oh God, it was so good, doctor. I went to bed at 1 o'clock. But you still have to get up at 6 because you work. What are you doing to yourself? Once again, when we sleep, we heal, we restore, we reset. Very important metabolic functions. You know, real memory happens when you're sleeping. The brain is very active. The brain actually uses a lot of energy when we go to sleep. If you were able to look at encephalogram, you're going to see that the brain is very active during periods of nighttime. Because a lot of the things that we saw, a lot of the things that we learned, a lot of the message I'm giving to you, tonight, when you go to sleep, your brain is going to put everything in its place. Oh yes, Dr. Rodriguez talked about this, goes here. Dr. Rodriguez mentioned that you can re-listen to this program in Truth Be Told Radio Network, which is in Spotify. That goes in here. Dr. Rodriguez mentioned that melatonin can actually heal a lot of functions and trigger the release of hormones and antibodies and everything in the body. That goes in here. And tomorrow, if you had a good night's sleep, you're going to be able to remember. If you had a terrible night's sleep, nothing of that will happen. And this happens to people all the time. You can see it in the workplace. You talk to somebody that went partying last night, you say, oh, you know what happened to the papers that I gave you that I told you were very important? We have to take them to the bank today. Where is the contract we have to sign? Let me see. I'm sure I put them in a good place, but you see, why is that clumsiness? Because nothing was filed in the brain the right way. But when you had a very good night's sleep, you say, what about, oh, I know what you're going to ask me. For the papers we have to sign today, they're right here. I was actually on my way to your office to tell you that you told me to do this. It's ready. Everything is ready to go. You get a raise, not only at work, but you get a raise on the quality of your brain function. You're going to be better because you listened to your melatonin, because you went to bed when you had to go, because you comply with the number of hours you needed to make all those functions happen. Does it get interesting every time more and more? To me, it does. To me, it's very important to know it and understand it. Well, my friends, how can I summarize everything we have discussed today or talked about? I don't see how I can convince you of the importance of having a fantastic day, but make sure we have a beautiful, blessed night. One without the other will not happen again tomorrow. But a very good day with a very good night will happen again tomorrow. And all we have to do is listen to our bodies. We have to understand that nighttime is a huge opportunity that was given to us by our Creator to put everything together during nighttime. You know, I travel, or I used to travel when we could travel, and something that called my attention, we're talking about Japan, for example, that your change of times makes you get up at, be awake particularly in the first days at 1 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes I would say, I'm going to take a little walk and see if I can feel better. And then I went out, and I remember looking at what happens during the night. I mean, your hotel is not dead, it's not dark. I remember all those people cleaning and vacuuming and putting things together, fixing flower arrangements. And there's a hotel in Tokyo that I love that has a beautiful chandelier. But it is, I don't know, it's 5-6 floors from the ground. You can look at it and it's beautiful. And then I saw it on the floor. And I looked at it, I said, I was in awe, like, what is doing there? But then I saw people changing the light bulbs and cleaning it and making sure it sparkles every night. And then when I was very impressed on how they took care of that big chandelier, all of a sudden everybody went away from it, and there was a machinery that lifted back to its position. I thought that was fantastic, because when you look at it, you say, oh my God, I wish I knew how they clean it. Now I knew how they clean it. They bring it down, and then they take it way up. And then my last surprise was little, like fishing lines, very little thin lines that came from the chandelier that were hanging, being gradually pulled to each side of the building. You could hardly see them at that height, and said, what is that? And they said, that will tense the chandelier in case of an earthquake. So it's not going to balance. Oh, wow. That's what happens in your body. You think you're sleeping. Think again. Your eyes might be closed, your conscience might be somewhere else, but everything is happening within your body. Everything. You're cleaning, you're getting out of a lot of debris. Have you noticed how the first thing you do in the morning is you want to pee? And that urine is strong and smelly? Isn't that the urine your doctor needs to see every time he orders urine tests to see what's happening? Because that tells me how your kidneys are working. But a lot of that function will happen at nighttime. And our brains, they work like crazy. They work very strongly. When you look at an encephalogram, and you look at it during daytime and nighttime, I mean, there are hours in the night where it works a lot more than it works at night. Now, that brain needs food, needs energy, needs a lot of things. Yet, hopefully, you had an early dinner and now it's 3 o'clock in the morning. How are you going to supply the body with that? Because God knows that at night you're not eating. You're not supposed to be eating. So when melatonin appears, all of a sudden you can see that fats and carbohydrates are released in the body, are released in the blood. So now our bodies have energy and supplies to do all the work. The same like those guys with the chandeliers, they were bringing light bulbs to replace, they were bringing cleaning things and towels to keep the chandelier sparkling. That's what your brain does. It started taking all that energy, all those supplies, to produce new cells, to heal, to restore, to replenish the substances it has used during the daylight. All that happens at night. No, nobody can tell me those are wasted hours. No, they're fantastic. It's like when in a Formula One car race, you take the car to the pit. If you didn't, is the car going to withstand the challenges of the race? Might not. Are the tires going to withstand everything? Probably not. You have to change them every now and then. You have to take them to the pit. That's what happens when you go to bed. That's your pit. Think of that. You can say, I'm going to bring my body to the pit because it is a wonderful thing, a perfect body that God gave me that will do wonderful things while I sleep. See? But if we know it, if we understand it, then we can do it. Then we can be proactive. Then I'm not only going to turn on the light, I'm not only going to turn on the TV. No, I'm going to listen to soft music. I'm going to get a nice pajamas. I'm going to grab your teddy bear for that matter. I don't care, as long as it induces you to sleep. See, that's why we have those routines. Children have a lot. Suck on the thumb, grab a blanket, etc. We have to do the same thing. And actually we do. I mean, when you go to bed, you kind of accommodate your pillow, your blankets, etc. And that's telling your body, I'm ready to go. Let's go to sleep. And that's what we do at the hospital. To me, at BioCare Hospital, that is sacred. Like, for example, I ask my nurses not to take vital signs unless it's a critical patient, if they are sleeping. In other words, I say, if you go to the room at 9 o'clock in the evening and the patient is deep sleep, don't wake him up to say, have to take your blood pressure. You have the chart, you know the patient has been in good shape. Let's wait till the morning. And don't go at 6 o'clock in the morning. Again, let's wait a little bit later. And for people that come from the East Coast, remember we're on Pacific time, that I know they're going to be ready very early in the morning, I always tell them, as soon as you're ready, you tell the nurses. Because my schedule is your body's schedule. If I know, if I tell you everything I have told you and I don't respect that, I'm not doing my job. So if I know the patient comes from this coast, I say, you let us know when you want to get your IVs or you want to get your things, because you might be ready at 5 o'clock in the morning for us. But we will be ready when you're ready. And the contrary, if 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you're still deep sleep, I'm going to wait for you to get up. The food, which is another very important thing. I already told you, when melatonin comes out, carbohydrates and fat go in the blood. So if we eat at night, you're putting that food on top of what your body is offering the body. That is why it's a very bad idea to have a heavy meal at night. And it is a very good idea to have a very light dinner. Now, be honest. If you have a very light dinner, you're going to sleep better. And those that tell you, no doctor, I actually have to eat very well at night, is because they skip breakfast. Once again, common wisdom It's very wise and very true. Breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper. And you're going to have a very good role. Now, if you have a good breakfast and a good lunch, chances are you're not really going to be hungry at night. But if you skip breakfast, which is very common in today's time, you see, once again, we're playing with the clock. We're making changes according to what we want. And the excuse, I don't have time to have breakfast. Of course you have time to have breakfast. But you will not be able to get up half an hour earlier if you were watching a movie till 2 o'clock in the morning. If you were in the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you were with your tablet reviewing whatever. And your possibility of working well the following day is going to be diminished. Your mental focus, everything is going to diminish. So we always try to train or retrain our patients to follow those rules. We normally check every evening. We know who needs to go to sleep. We know that. We talk to them. And we normally encourage them to do something else other than doing these things. I strongly encourage you to shut off your phones, let's say at 10 p.m. Tell your friends. They'll understand. And if they do the same, everybody will go be happy. I really love to talk to you. I really love your questions. I really love your comments. So pick the social media of your choice and contact me. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. Or follow me in any of these social media. If you follow me, I'm going to be very grateful. And also, if you want to listen to this program, all you have to do is search on Spotify, Truth Be Told Radio Network. We'll be with you next Friday.